he talks about comprehensive internationalization. And this means that every and something like recruitment of the best. We want the best students. We want the best professors in our institutions. And then when we take the international aspect, where do we find these great minds and the brains? The moment, for example, we try to find them in another country, yeah? The question is the curriculum we offer interesting for the students? Is the information available in the language the students understand and follow? The moment we have a field of study in another language, for example, in French, let's do French, a French field of study, sustainable education in French, then all the services have to follow up and be offered in French as well. If students then would have to know French and the local language, this would minor our options of students that we can get. We are, by the way, already on the next slide. Or if we have high tuition fees, or if the cost is very high, we might think about going for stipends. The same goes when we try to get staff. Yeah, is it the salary why they come to us, these bright heads, or do we have some benefits? Do we offer great services? Do we offer housing? Do we offer via a welcome center support with all legal issues? Do we have a dual career center? For example, if a professor wants to come in physics and her husband would like to come with her, is there also a job opportunity for her husband, right? So all of these are different aspects. And of course, the tile number 4, SDG 4, with education, that's where we feel home. Content-wise, of course, we are responsible and teaching all the other tiles as well, but only this tile until 2030. It says we should be inclusive, but we are dealing with a minority, especially in higher education. We are sometimes as exclusive as possible, right? So already for our little small tile number 4 to be successful until 2030, it's going to be difficult, if not a mission impossible. Next file, please, research. For example, when it comes to research, let's take the SDG number 3, where it says good health and well-being. And thinking back about the research that took place in higher education at universities, thinking back right now, 20 million people can happily live with AIDS, yeah? Still 15 million are waiting for the help given. So there is hope also for COVID. And a lot of research is being done at the institutions, not only on vaccines, but also, for example, on different medications that can help us. My main concern is when it comes to research, the standing in comparison to education. with higher education, because we all love and hate rankings, right? But most of the rankings only focus or mainly focus on research, right? What we always forget, though, is that when students are at our universities, 90% the contact is via education, via the teachers, right? And through this, an image is created of an institution. The image of how was it at university? This teacher was good, this teacher was lousy, and services were fantastic. Let's say it like this. When we now have a great brain, a fantastic researcher in our institution, how do we treat our Einsteins? Do we only allow them or connect them with PhD students? Or do we already send them in on the bachelor level, right? Sometimes the Slodowska Curies of our times can be absolutely motivating also for beginners, right? But still, in research and education, we work in silos, and also mobility and services are very often dealt with in different spheres. Let's go to the next slide, education. And here, a lot has happened within the last couple of years, and I'm giving you many examples that you can then also Google later on and look at, especially if you don't understand me properly. My example here comes from Joost Belen and Internationalization at Home. This is something that started in 1999 at the European Association for International Education. And all of a sudden, it was internationalization not connected to mobility, but the big world came into our classrooms from that moment on. And the question was how to bring the world also to the students who are not mobile, right? So how is our curriculum? Do we use comparison in our courses? Do we use our international students who are in the classroom? Do we bring in examples from their country? So this was really widening up the world, and internationalization is a big topic right now. On the next page, please, I mentioned virtual exchange. And this was even a key topic, or will be the key topic, in the new Erasmus Plus program before COVID hit us. And what is there new? In the past, when it comes to mobility, students came to us, the coordinators, we signed something or not, they went abroad. We never heard from them again. If they come back, we try to recognize what they have done, mainly if they did exactly abroad what they were supposed to do here in our institutions. We never or hardly ever integrate them then in our courses. Now, with these new hybrid versions that will come up, this will be far more work also for the teachers. Teachers will need training and professional development, and students will need mentoring, because it is that teachers now are supposed to connect virtually like this with their students. They will work together on topics, on sustainability, on physics, on medicine, whatever. And then physical mobility will follow up. So the teachers will never get rid of the students. And they always have to take care. One of the big names in this area is Robert O'Dowd, for example. And I've listed some links. And for example, with Uni Collaboration, it is a platform where you can find partners for these activities, whether it's in Erasmus or not. On the next slide, I mentioned the Kalue project, and the name behind the Kalue project, which is definitely also working towards our future, is Robert Wagenaar. He's from the Netherlands, and he is the one who started with ECTS. He was the one recalculating the ECTS to something new. He was then the one who looked at curricula via the tuning project, and now it's with Kalue. And there, the curriculum is in the focus. And internationally, people compare the curriculum, for example, civil engineering, and they say, what has to be the knowledge of a civil engineer in all of these countries? What are the skills a civil engineer has to gain? And the new, and for me, most interesting dimension is, what are the competences the students will gain with the knowledge and the skills to then act for society? So once they step out of the ivory tower, how can they serve us? And this is a very sharp look at all the curriculum, because what are we doing there at universities? How will our colleagues, our friends benefit who are not at university? So this is the biggest chance, I think, when it comes to working with curriculum to get out of the ivory tower. On the next page, I'm leaving education and research with services. And when it comes to internationalization and to build up an international and sustainable future, we sometimes forget administrative parts of our institutions. We know that an international office, if we have that, they are dealing with something international, and maybe the personnel department. This SUKTI project, as is listed here, and SUKTI stands for Systematic University Change Towards Internationalization, is only for administrators. And how it works is, it's one institution, right? It's not that you attend a professional development training together with other internationals. It's in your institution. If you coordinate this, you bring together people from within your house, from faculties, from personnel, from admission, and you share information you have with all of them. And this at the end will answer all the why questions on the long run, beside the fact that people will understand each other better. So it's, now I understand why the applications from Finland only come the last minute. Yes, their university starts only 1 week earlier and stuff like that. So this for me is also one of the most important projects. When we continue, please, this was the image for digitalization. And very often you come now to the fourth industrial revolution. I will shorten this because theoretically, yes, we should deal with artificial intelligence and robotics, but in reality, we hardly can manage the third revolution with the computers and the IT system, as we see right now. Next, please. So the trends we are having right now is that everything goes to automation, and society and university has to know how to deal with it. Research and digitalization, it's a huge step because all our research now will be available for everybody. It's not with fees, it's not for extra money, it's absolutely public and you cannot hide anything. And when it comes to education, for example, I also gave you two terms, COIL, when it comes to, this is close to the hybrid methodology I mentioned earlier, and MOOCs, this was a boom with the massive open online courses in education, but this sort of faded away as well. A brilliant example I want to share with you together with digitalization is on the next page, because migration is a fact society and we have to find a way to live with, because we know that 70 million people are displaced. We know that 27 million are refugees due to political reasons, due to natural catastrophes, due to drug wars, right? And when in 2015, Europe had to face the reality with all these loads of people trying to come to us. The university, for what I observed, very often managed it in a good way, because we connected with society and all of a sudden we mingled, we offered language courses, we opened our access to schools and education. It was all of a sudden, there was no ivory tower anymore. And the best example for me here is the KIRON project. And KIRON, if you please go to the next page, KIRON is an NGO sitting at in Germany. And what it is that refugees sitting in a camp, for example, in Athens, can participate in courses offered by these universities. Yeah, they can follow wherever they are. These are official university courses. They can interrupt, and while they are waiting process, this and this was brilliant, actually, back that time, and it still is. On the next page, because I have to be a little bit faster, I want to mention the last item when it comes to micro-credentials and service learning. There is also, this is something new, but what is meant by that, and some countries and universities are already strong. For example, whether this is with an organization, you have the problem that your does not know how to handle computers well. So in a university or at school, what you can do is you can teach your students what is important about computers. How do you teach to work with computer, not pressing every button and this will be it. Giving a background of the older generation, why they do not know how to use a tablet. And then these students go out, leave the ivory tower, they connect the older people, they get ECTS, and it's a win-win situation, basically, for both of them. The next slide, as you can see, so my main message, to cut it short, is that in universities, when we have research, education, and services, we sometimes forget the connection to our labor market, to our environment, and to our society. But thank God, we have the next slide. We have a younger generation. And on the next slide, what we can see is it's the young generation who reminds us to say, we need more than your 50 years that you live. It is our future. And when it comes to climate, and this, no, we can go on with the next slide. This is fine. And with the, it was just like 1 week ago, and United Nations, Antonio Guterres, he, in a rather famous speech, all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but he mentioned the key value of universities and schools to bridge and to deal with the climate problem. So it came from the young generation. We experts are dealing with it for a long time, but now it ended up again with the United Nations and really calling out, because COVID might not kill all of us, but the next catastrophe will do for sure. And that university, yes, it's a rethinking, and it's a rethinking also with green mobility. Trains are an option, and you can support students going back and forth by train. But it's also about cooperation. We really have to have a partnership agreement with Australia or Shanghai. Isn't there an institution nearby in Romania where they offer a similar curriculum, and we can cooperate much easier and faster? So these are the questions. This was just an appetizer, and my final slide. Thank you, and I hope that parts of it you understood. I welcome your question.